this morning we'll be talking about, first part, how to create your hybrid cloud with HybridMount. We'll have a quick demo about how to use HybridMount, a little bit about the interface. We'll be talking a little bit about, second part, how your virtual JBOD can provide a block-based cloud storage gateway, backup solution to simplify your data. So we'll take a little bit, take a little look at VJBOD Cloud. We'll have a Q&A session, a little break for Q&A. Then we'll talk a little bit about hybrid backup. This QNAP's backup, your one-stop shop for backup. You can do your backup, your synchronization to your cloud, and also to your NAS or external drives. It's QNAP's application for backup and syncing. Then we'll talk a little bit about QTS Cloud, get into that, have a little demo, and we'll have a second Q&A, and we'll get you back on your way. So without further ado, let's get into HybridMount. All right, so this is HybridMount. First thing we would do, of course, you would first download the application from the App Center. It's not a default app, but it's one of the several add-on apps that you can add to your QNAP NAS. So when you open HybridMount, this is the overview here. This is the interface. It'll show you any current cloud accounts that you have mounted. You have your mount management. First, your overview. It tells you what you have mounted, cloud services or remote devices, what cloud accounts you have currently mounted. Transfer and resources will tell you what you have currently, uploading and downloading files from your cloud account, your logs, and so on and so forth, your licenses as well. So first and foremost, let's get into it. We're going to create a remote. Mount. You have several options when you initially create a remote mount. You have your create network drive mount and also create file cloud gateway. Deval, tell us briefly what's the difference between these two.
Sure. All right. So with HybridMount, it allows you to mount your cloud storage as if it's on the local NAS. So you're actually using it as a hybrid cloud gateway. You have the NAS that is caching your cloud data, but the data you're accessing is actually directly stored on the cloud. It's not actually stored on the NAS. So you have two different options with HybridMount. We have the file cloud gateway, which allows you to create a cache space on your NAS that will store your cloud data or your frequently accessed data. So if you have few files that you actually use a lot from your cloud, the QNAP will download that data onto the cache space, and then it will allow you to edit that data on the NAS itself. So you're actually getting your LAN speeds. So if you have 10 gigabit, you have 1 gigabit connection, you're actually getting 1 or 10 gigabit connection because the data that you're actually accessing is actually stored on the NAS. And once you're done with the editing part, the QNAP will, in the background, will upload it automatically to the cloud, and that all happens live. So every time you access the data and you actually store the data, it will actually upload that data in the background to the cloud, but the data you're accessing is actually stored on the NAS. So that's a file cloud gateway, and the create network drive mount. It's also called as, if you remember, on our old file station, there was something called file station mount. It's actually now consolidated on this particular application. What create network drive mount allows you to do is it will help you connect your cloud services to your NAS. It's not going to cache anything. It's not going to download anything. It's just going to allow you to access your cloud data using file station. So the only way to access when you create a network drive mount, you can only access it via file station. It's not going to be able to access it via Samba protocols, AFP protocols, NFS protocols, any other protocols. But when you create a file cloud gateway, you can actually access it via any protocols like Samba, FTP, AFP. It just you can actually look at your cloud data as if it's on the local NAS. So that's the difference between file cloud gateway and file station mount.
Got it. Okay, so create network drive mount is basically your cloud accounts mounted on your NAS. So exactly. You have all of them, one location, simplified. And instead of opening up a bunch of different cloud accounts, you open up your QNAP NAS and you'll see the folders of your mounted cloud accounts.
Exactly.
All right. And File Cloud Gateway. I'm tongue-tied today. File Cloud Gateway is a cache. So basically, it's your hard data on your NAS from your cloud account as a cache, right?
Exactly.
So, okay. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to create a network drive mount. So let's go through that little process there. So first thing you would do, you would look for your cloud services on top here. We're going to use Google Drive. So I found my Google Drive account here. We're going to log into it. And sorry, a little network problem there, little network slowage. So once you find your Google Drive, you can create you create your destination folders. You want all folders. If you want single folders, we'll just do single folders for the sake of the demo. Well, we'll do all folders, make it easier. You can use system proxy settings if you like. We're going to create a folder, and that's pretty much it. You'll see what you have. You can create more, or basically how. Well, from there, we would go to File Station, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So once you open up File Station, you'll see your. There it is. Where we at?
The bottom.
Oh.
So here it's gonna allow you to see your data. So if you go to My Drive or Shared Drive, it's gonna this is the data that you actually that is stored within the Google Drive, and it's just gonna show you that data. You can actually access the data. You can actually download it. You can actually upload data. You can actually store the data within the QNAP itself. But you're not going to be. It's not going to cache anything. Everything that you download and upload, it goes directly to the cloud, to the Google Drive, and then it downloads to the Google Drive. Now, a great way to use this, in case if you want to quickly access your if you want to transfer something from your QNAP to the Google Drive, you can use HybridMount, or you can use Hybrid Backup Sync, or you can use this particular feature to consolidate all your cloud accounts together. So if you have an account with Google Drive, if you have an account with OneDrive, and if you have an account with Dropbox, all these accounts, you can actually connect them all together. And instead of connecting to each of the services separately, you can just log into your QNAP, go to File Station, and just quickly access the data. So that's again a quick way to access all your data together within one application. So that's again a great application using File Station. And you can also mount other QNAP NASs as well. So if you have a folder on the NAS that you want to mount it to the QNAP to this particular NAS, you can use HybridMount, and you can use create File Station mount, and then you can just mount your QNAP folder within this particular NAS itself.
Awesome. So it's one convenient way to have all your cloud accounts pop up as a folder, just like you have it on your QNAP.
Exactly.
All right. So that's just a quick demo of connecting cloud services. And what else do we want to do here?
No, we're going to create another mount for the file gateway.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So we're going to create another mount. Sorry, I'm trying to run this through as fast as possible here. So we're going to do create file gateway. So this will do an actual cache. So first we'll click our cloud services. Want to do the same with Google Drive?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do that. So when you do so, you got to run through it, re-log in back to your cloud account briefly. All right. So here you pick your destination folders as well. You can pick, do all folders, single folders, or multiple folders if you just want to customize what you want as a destination. We'll just do single folder. Now we'll do all of them. Upload. So here you can check for conflicts and rename local files or update files without checking. So if you have multiple files, we can rename
duplicate
files. Right. So we'll click next. Okay, and here you can create your cache capacity. So basically, based on how much data you're currently using, you can create a cache based on that. You can also do auto download settings where you can do pre-download all recently edited files. So files that you just did an editing job on, or you just recently changed, you can pre-download like so. You can download new versions stored in your local cache, or you can just disable it and files will be downloaded as they are. So we'll do so. We'll just do recently edited for the sake of the demo. Let's create.
this will create like a cache space on your NAS. So you need storage pool. So the requirement for HybridMount are using file cloud gateway. You need to have a storage pool on your NAS. Only then, because it's going to create another volume that will be used for a cache space on your QNAP using whatever cloud account you can use. So when you download something, when you access the data when you access something within the cloud account, it's going to actually download data into that cache space, as I was mentioning before. And then once it downloads, it's going to store that data within the cache space. And as soon as it fills up, it's going to upload the least used data. It's only going to keep your most used data within the cache space. So actually accessing the data you actually need instead of having all the data inside the cloud.
Awesome. All right. And here we would find
The Google Drive would be on the top of the
Yeah.
file station.
that file station. So he would have all your cache drives here, and it'll pop up on top here. And there it is. So your cache drive would pop up on top of your, where you see data volume. You would see all of your cache drives here. We also have Amazon S3, and that's pretty much it.
All right. So let me show you the differences between the cache space and the file cloud. Right.
Just let me. Let's see if it runs.
Yes.
Oh, looks like somebody has their somebody's unmuted there.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Oh, somebody.
The access code you entered is invalid. You entered 261. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Whoever that is, can you please mute your mic?
Enable on.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go back to the NAS itself. All right, so as I was mentioning, so I already have an Amazon S3 account that is mounted onto the QNAP itself. So if you look at the file station, as I was mentioning before, it's going to allow you to access the data as if it's in the file station, just like the Google Drive account that you're accessing. But the major difference between File Cloud Gateway and File Station Mount is you can actually use that data as if it's stored within the QNAP. So you can actually go to shared folders, and you can actually see that Amazon S3 account that we just, or Google Drive, the two accounts that our cloud accounts where we mounted, you can actually access the data. So now you can actually assign permissions onto the S3 account. You can actually deny our access, or if you have multiple users, you can also assign permissions to domain users, domain groups, local groups as well. So now you can assign permissions and stored on the data that is accessed directly to the cloud. So the advantage of having this is that, for example, if you have some data that is on your S3 account and you want to give access to that data to your local users, like if you're an IT admin and you have a lot of data on the S3 account and you want to give access to that data to your users. Now, if you have access to S3 account and to access that bucket, it's pretty hard to access the bucket, right? And they also charge you for downloading and uploading data as well. With HybridMount, what it allows you to do is you can actually the QNAP will be the one that's connecting to the S3 account, and then the local users will be connecting to your QNAP NAS and accessing that data. So you can actually just create users on your QNAP and then just give them access to you can just give them permissions to the S3 account. So the users don't need to connect to S3 directly. They can just go to the S3, they can just go to your QNAP and they can access the data. And another great feature with QNAP, with HybridMount, is you can access any data using just using Samba or AFP. So just connecting directly. So right here, I'm connecting to my to my HybridMount or my S3 account, and all my data that is stored within the S3 is going to just show up here as if it's on my local NAS. So if I look at any data within the cloud, I can just open that data directly on my, and this data is stored on my S3 account, but I'm accessing the data from my NAS. So it's, as you can see, it's opening pretty quickly. If you look at the file station now, if you look at the file station, the QNAP does tell you which data is actually cached and which data is on the cloud currently. So if you look at my documents folder, all this data, this checkbox means that the data is actually stored on the QNAP. It's cached on the QNAP. So if I open the document, it's going to open up pretty quickly. It's not going to delay anything. It's going to open up very quickly as well. There's no delay on this because again, you're not accessing the data. You're not accessing the data stored on the cloud. You're actually accessing the data that is cached on your QNAP. Now, if I copy something from my computer, so if I want to copy this screenshot file on my computer onto the S3 folder, I can just open up the folder on my S3 and just copy this. And when I paste this, the copy will happen on the NAS. It's not going to happen to the cloud directly. It's going to happen to the NAS. So as you can see, the copy happens pretty quickly because the file just copied directly from my LAN speeds onto the QNAP. And if I refresh here, the QNAP will then upload that data from my the screenshot folder is going to upload that data from my QNAP to the cloud in the background. So without you noticing anything, it's going to upload that. It's already uploaded the data onto my S3 bucket automatically. So you see cache and sync, that data is on my Amazon S3. Similarly, if I go to similarly on another cloud account, just copy the data as well. Now let's look at the data that is not cached. So right here I have some data that is not cached. So if I open that data on my QNAP, so if I look at the samples folder, so I have few of the sample files that are not downloaded or not cached. So if I open up my FP and I open that sample file, let's say sample file 13, it's going to now download that data on my QNAP account. So sample file 13 right here, it's now going to cache that data on my QNAP itself because I'm now accessing the data. So it's going to download that data onto my QNAP NAS. And then now I can access the data. So you're actually accessing the data that is stored within the NAS. So here are some here are some features that you can actually use with HybridMount. Again, as I was mentioning before, instead of giving access to your users directly to the S3 account, you can just give them, you can create users on your NAS, connect your S3 using HybridMount, and then connect that directly to the, and then just give them access to your QNAP NAS. Just give them permissions directly on the QNAP NAS. Using the permissions button, and then you can also do domain permissions as well, and all your users that can connect to your NAS, they can now access the data. And as you can see, you cannot see the difference between the folder that is on the NAS. These are the folders that are on the NAS, and these are the folders that are on the cloud. So they are all connected via SAML protocol, AFP protocol. They can access via file station as well. You can access it on the go using your Qsync, using your Qfile application. So if you're traveling and you have a phone, you can open up Qfile, and then you can access these folders using your phone as well. So you're all connected together without having to connect to your S3. So no one has to connect to your S3. They're all connected to your QNAP NAS, and they can access the folder directly on the QNAP NAS. So again, this happens all live. So everything you do, all the changes you have done on the S3 folder on your QNAP, they're all uploaded automatically to the NAS in the background. So imagine having 5 to 10, let's say for example, you have 5 users that use Google Drive, one of the accounts on Google Drive, and so when they're connected using directly to Google Drive and they're uploading and downloading directly to the folder, all 5 users are using a bandwidth to all transfer and or copy and transfer data using their computers, all separately. But when you're using QNAP, you can just have the users connect to your QNAP, and the QNAP is the only one that is connected to Google Drive, and it's the only one that is doing the download and uploading. Not all the 5 users. The 5 users are only accessing the data that is stored on the QNAP. Again, that's a great feature with HybridMount. So that was HybridMount that you can actually use with the QNAP. You get 2 free licenses with HybridMount. or using as a file cloud gateway. And if you want, so you can actually have, so QNAP gives you plenty of licenses. You can actually connect Amazon S3 as I've done here, and a Google Drive account. If you have more cloud services, you can purchase additional licenses by going to software.qnap.com. Or, and if you're using just file station mount, you don't need any licenses. You have unlimited accounts that you can actually connect. But again, you won't be able to cache that data. So if you look at the file station, it's not caching any of my Google Drive data within the QNAP. It's just, you can just access the data that is stored within Google Drive. See, there's no cache option right here. It's just, you're just accessing. You can download the data. You can upload data directly to Google Drive. It's not going to cache anything. Also, you can't access via Samba, AFP, NFS protocols. You can't see those. So those folders won't be showing up on here. Only the file cloud gateway folders will be showing up here. So again, that's a great feature with HybridMount. So hopefully that was a good demo for you guys and able to understand that. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can always let us know. You can always put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Feel free to ask any questions as well.
Yeah.
All right, moving on for the next one.
All right, so that was how to create a hybrid mount. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about BJBud Cloud and how it can provide a block-based cloud storage gateway. And Deval's going to tell us a little bit about that one. And again, if you have any, as well mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to chat. Please feel free to unmute yourself as well, and we can address all your questions as we go. We'll also have a Q&A break in between our second session and our third session, and also at the end. So please feel free to ask any questions. We welcome you.
Perfect. All right. So virtual JBot. Virtual JBot is, again, if you guys remember with QNAP, there was an option called virtual JBot that you can actually mount another QNAP NAS onto another QNAP NAS using iSCSI services. And the first QNAP will look at the second QNAP as a local drive, and you can just create a storage pool. You can create volume. Now, virtual JBot Cloud is just similar service, but you're not creating a cloud volume or cloud LUN. So you can use it so with HybridMount, there was only volume option. There was no LUN option. So if you can't use the iSCSI services, you can only use NFS, Samba, or AFP protocols, but you can't use iSCSI services. With virtual JBot Cloud, you can actually create an iSCSI service, or you can create a cloud LUN onto your QNAP NAS. So again, the feature, the reason for having a virtual JBot Cloud is for disaster recovery. So there's a LUN or volume that is created on the QNAP that is always synced with the cloud service. So whatever changes you do is immediately synced with the QNAP, with the cloud services itself. So in case of if let's say this was I'm sorry, I had the wrong landing page right here. All right, so again, so this allows you to do is in case if there is any disaster, if the NAS itself has for some reason is not working on the local device, you can actually mount this LUN or the volume onto another NAS and get access to the data that is stored on the cloud. So you don't need to re-download or lose any access to the data. You can just connect another NAS and then just connect to the cloud data, and you can actually connect the volume or the LUN directly onto that using the second NAS. So all your local applications, all your users are still connected. All your data is perfectly safe, stored within the cloud. And again, so the key features with virtual JBot is, again, you have local storage mode, which means that the LUN and the volume is actually created on the QNAP. So everyone is accessing your QNAP itself. The QNAP is now connected that LUN to the cloud, and whatever changes the users are making or the applications are making, they're automatically synced with the cloud. Okay, and so you can use Ssd caching as well. So you have caching so you have Ssd drives because the volume and the LUN is on the QNAP itself. You can use Ssd to boost the speed, so you have more speeds available using Ssd caching. You can do snapshot recovery as well. You can create snapshots for your LUN. You can snapshots for your volume itself. You can do automatic backups or incremental backups. So it's not, so every time you make a change, not the whole file is uploaded. It's because it's block-based storage, only the blocks that are changed are uploaded to the cloud. So you're actually saving a lot of bandwidth as well. And then you can do volume encryption as well. So if you're creating a volume on your QNAP NAS, you can actually encrypt that volume onto the QNAP. So you have AES 256-bit encryption. So you're creating an encrypted LUN, and you can also detach and post transfer. So in case if you want to move your LUN to another NAS, because the data is stored on because the LUN and the cloud is stored on the cloud. Oh, sorry, the LUN and the volume is stored on the cloud. You can just move that whole LUN or volume onto another NAS. So again, those are the great features with virtual JBoss Cloud. Again, so you can centralize your storage onto the cloud without having to move data around using hybrid backups in another application. And we do support a lot of block-based, and this is a block-based storage, so you need a block-based account on your QNAP. So we have Amazon S3, Alibaba Cloud, so all these, we have a lot of cloud service providers that are already available with using virtual JBoss Cloud, and you can use them starting today. And with virtual JBoss Cloud, you get one free license. You can actually connect one of the LUN or one of the volume directly onto the QNAP itself. So let's look at virtual JBoss Cloud. Again, it's an add-on application. So visit App Center to download that application. I already have the application installed. So once you install the application, they'll just give you an overview page. I think I already have one connected right here. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah. So on this NAS, I already have one connected. So it's you can see right here the overview page. It's going to show you. I have a volume that is created. So if I look at the file station, right here, the volume is created right here. It's called Virtual JBoss Cloud Volume, and I've created a folder within the Virtual JBoss Cloud. So whatever I upload here, first it will upload to the QNAP, and then automatically it syncs to the QNAP to the cloud itself. So to create Virtual JBoss Cloud, you can create cloud volume. So with cloud volume, you can access via NFS, Samba, AFU protocols. Again, those regular protocols, just like you're using it as a file server on the QNAP. Or if you want to use iSCSI LUN, that's a major feature that's different between HybridMount and virtual JBoss Cloud. With virtual JBoss Cloud, you can actually create a LUN. So you can use iSCSI services with your QNAP, and you can create a cloud LUN. So a lot of NAS providers provide this feature, creating a cloud LUN. So you can actually create a cloud LUN onto the Amazon. So let me see if I have. Let me get my credentials quickly. Sorry about that. Let me just copy the credentials quickly so you can get a quick demo on how it looks like.
Beauty of being live here.
So once you enter your access key or whatever the key required by your cloud service provider, once you enter those information, right, once you enter those information, you can search for the buckets you have. So you have to create a bucket on your cloud. So I already have a bucket that's created. So I can click on that bucket, and I can perform speed tests if I needed to. I'm gonna just hit next for now. And once you hit next, it's gonna connect to that bucket. And now it's gonna use that bucket to create that iSCSI LUN. So now you're gonna have to specify the amount of LUN that you want on your QNAP. So you can specify a 200 gigabit LUN, or you can have 500 gigabit LUN. You can also attach an existing cloud LUN. So if you have a cloud LUN that is already available, so let me go back here. Go back. Let me show you because I already have a volume that is there was a volume that was already up there. So let me show you that example of the volume. So
You have the most unhackable passwords ever.
Search. So once a bucket is created, virtual JBoss Cloud, and I can hit next. once it's connected, I can just connect because it's occupied. So I'm still connected to the other NAS, but if I wanted to move that volume onto this particular NAS, I can just click on here, and it will just it will move that data that is stored within the other NAS directly onto this particular NAS. So it's very so everything is moved directly onto this NAS. So you can move the whole volume or whole LUN onto from your cloud to another NAS. And the data is, because the data is stored on the other NAS, is going to move that data onto the second NAS, and I can access the data. So in case if your NAS goes down for some reason, you can actually quickly spin up another NAS, or in the demo in the future, or down the line, I have another demo for QTS Cloud. So in case of disaster recovery, in case if you want to access the data that is stored on that virtual JBoss cloud, I can just open up virtual JBoss on the QTS Cloud. I can spin up a QTS instance on an S3 account. I can just use virtual JBoss to connect to that LUN. I can still access the data directly from that QTS cloud without having a physical NAS on my location. So again, that's another great feature that you have with QNAP NAS and with virtual JBoss cloud. And with virtual JBoss cloud, because the LUN is on my because the volume is created on my QNAP itself, I can just access the data as if it's another shared folder. So right here, I have a shared folder called Virtual JBoss Cloud. Right here, again, I can assign permissions directly onto the QNAP. I can also do subfolder permissions as well onto the QNAP as well with Virtual JBoss Cloud. I can again, if we look at storage and snapshot, and look at the storage and snapshot as well, you can see that shared folder that is created on right here, that is on my QNAP NAS that is created over here. So everything is now connected directly. The volume is actually stored on the QNAP NAS, but it's automatically synced with the cloud account. So everything is synced. You don't have to worry about scheduling or data not being copied. Everything is happening. It's all happening live, and everything is done. And again, so you don't have to worry about if the data is copied or not. Everything is done live. Okay. So that is it for virtual JBoss Cloud and HybridMount. We'll open up for any questions.
Folks. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat, or you can unmute yourself right now and ask any questions. Let's see here. We'll open up for a minute or so if you have any questions. If not, we will continue on to part 3, where we're talking a little bit about hybrid backup sync. Okay, we're all going to have another Q&A after our 4th part of our workshop, so we'll have another Q&A later. If we don't have any questions right now,
I think we have a question. So, okay. Are there any encryption option for HybridMount so encryption option? So you can have a secure encrypted connection between HybridMount and HybridMount, but there's no encryption option as of yet to have an encrypted encrypted folder on your using HybridMount, because HybridMount again is just connecting your cloud service onto the QNAP, and QNAP is used as cache. But we do have a feature that's coming up in the future that should allow you to have some encrypted space or using HybridMount as well. So yes, there is an option that's coming up pretty soon that will allow you to encrypt your cache space that is created on your QNAP. So there's a volume that you create on the QNAP, right? And that volume can be encrypted in the future versions of firmware. I think firmware, or it could be HybridMount version as well. So that version is coming pretty shortly for HybridMount. But with QNAP, with Cloud LUN, so only one NAS can connect to cloud. So yeah, as you can see in the demo, so if you look at the cloud, if you look at the cloud demo, so the demo I showed you, because the LUN or the volume was connected to one of the NAS, I can only access the data from that NAS. Once the NAS is turned off or I disconnect the virtual JBoss cloud, only then and then I can connect to the second NAS. So if I have a LUN or volume using virtual JBoss cloud, I can only access it via one NAS at a time. Also, with but with HybridMount, you can actually connect it to multiple NASs at the same time. But the data, because the data is stored on the cloud directly, you can actually connect multiple NASs using the same cloud service provider. So in my example, I had an S3 account connected. I can actually connect multiple NASs using HybridMount to that S3 account using different NASs, and it will just all be connected to that same bucket. If I need to. You can also create different buckets. Also, you can do that with virtual JBoss Cloud as well. But yes, you do have the option to connect multiple NASs to the same cloud service using HybridMount. With virtual JBoss Cloud, it's only one NAS at a time. A great question we have is any protection with viruses and ransomware. Now with HybridMount, unfortunately, no, because it's all happening live. So in case of if your cloud service or there's if the cloud account get compromised or there's any issues with the cloud account, it comes down to the NAS. And similarly with the NAS, if you do have any issues with the NAS itself, or if there's any hack on the NAS itself, it can go back to the cloud as well. But with virtual JBoss Cloud, you do have protection with snapshots. So we do have snapshot protection. So in case if you do, so you can have multiple snapshots for your volume or LUN, and then you can recover back from the snapshot in case if you do hit by any ransomware or viruses. You can just go back in time using snapshot, and then just recover the data back into go back to the data. But with HybridMount, currently, because it's all happening live, it's only creating cache on the NAS. There's no protection from that. But again, so with QNAP NAS, we do have new applications that do protect you with ransomware, or you can prevent yourself with any ransomware protection. Oh, sorry, I think I got disconnected for 20 seconds, I think. So I'm going to repeat the answer that we had from John. Again, for ransomware protection, there's no ransomware protection with using HybridMount, because the QNAP is just creating cache mount, so there's no protection on that end. But with virtual JBoss Cloud, because you're creating a LUN and a cloud LUN and a volume, you can do snapshots for both of them. And then let's say if you do have any corrupt data or do have any ransomware issues, you can just recover, or you can just go back in time using snapshot and recover the data using snapshot. So with virtual JBoss Cloud, you do have some protection, but with HybridMount, there's no protection. But with QNAP now, we do have a lot of free applications that we provide you that does allow you to prevent yourself from any kind of ransomware attack as well. We do have security advisor. We have QU firewall. With geo blocking, you can block the whole geolocation from accessing a NAS. You have allow denialist that allows you that can only allow certain users to be connected to your NAS. And with future firmware, we do have few more applications that are planned with more secure SSH connection, with more features that are coming soon. But we do have a lot more applications that are already available within the App Center, all free of cost, that no licensing required, that you can use currently to protect yourself and secure a NAS. And if you look at a YouTube QNAP TV page, we do have actually multiple webinars that give you best practices on how to secure your NAS. So we do recommend looking at that as well. And actually, I have provided step-by-step instructions on how to protect your NAS. So in case if you don't, just to prevent yourself from any future attacks.
Great. Awesome.
Let's wait for I think 2 more minutes for any further questions.
I was looking at the questions here.
Yeah,
directly to you. It'll pop up over here.
Oh yeah, it's a chat and coming directly.
Oh.
Again, we do recommend if you guys have any mics, unmute yourself. You can also ask questions directly as well, so that's much faster and easier as well for us to respond. And if you guys have any further questions, just feel free to ask as well.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you have any questions later, we're going to have another Q&A after to wrap up all of our sessions. So if nothing comes to mind now, but you have questions later, you'll have another opportunity to ask away. But yeah, we'll open up for another minute or so.
So
What's your chat Q&A button?
Because this is a meeting type of software, there's no Q&A button, or either chat or you can just unmute yourself. But there's an option to either respond to everybody, or you can just privately send me a message as well, or chatting as well, if you like to for that as well.
Hey, John, did you have a particular question, or was that just a question about the Q&A or chat? Can you hear us, John? Oh, just chat. Okay, awesome. And again, folks, we'll have another Q&A, so we'll go ahead and move forward to our next session, where we're talking about hybrid backup sync. So what is hybrid backup sync? Hybrid backup sync is QNAP's application. It allows you to integrate multiple cloud backup, data duplication, instant restoration, and synchronization. Two of the most important things are backup and sync. QNAP gives you a one-stop way to it's a one app that you can either do backups to multiple cloud accounts. You can also synchronize to and from your cloud accounts, and it's a great way to do your 3-2-1 backup strategy. You can back up. We also have QDedupe when you want to deduplicate your data from your cloud account when recovering your data. It's a great way to reduce. It's a quick way to back up your data. We'll get into the different features in just a bit. Let's open up the interface here. So again, Hybrid Backup Sync is an add-on app. Of course, you would download it from the App Center. Once you have it downloaded here, this is the interface here. It would tell you if you have any current jobs pending, incoming jobs, also what cloud accounts you have connected to it. Here you would create your backup. You can see your current backups here. If you have any sync jobs, it also will tell you what you have synchronizing here. Here it'll give you the status of your existing jobs and your incoming jobs. Of course, you want to make sure everything is green here. If you have any jobs that cut out mid backup or mid synchronization, they would pop up here and you would see red. So you could go ahead, either take action, you can restart it, you can stop it, you can edit it. Once you have a current backup, you can also change, like say you're doing a complete backup or complete sync of all of your files or a big chunk of files. You can edit that, say, I don't want to back up everything, I just want to back up certain files. You can click and edit your current backup there and do so. If you have any external drives, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. So Time Machine Backup, it also supports Time Machine Backup for all Mac users there. If you have any external drives, thumb drives or external drives, we have a one-touch copy. You would connect the drive in the front, and here you could also manage how you want it backed up to your external drive. You can do smart import, you can do USB one-touch copy, or anytime you connect your drive to your NAS, you can do it. It'll automatically, it'll recognize it and automatically start backing everything up. So it's, again, one-stop place to do backups, to do restorations, to do synchronizations, and also for any type of backup. So let's run through this. We'll do a quick backup here. So first you would do create. You want to do a new backup job. Here again, if you want to restore a job that cut out mid backup, or you want to relink a job, say you stopped it and it's an existing account, a cloud account, and it's already in, you have it set up, you can just relink it back up. So let's do a quick backup here. So first you would pick your source file. We'll just do public here, just pick a random file for the sake of the demo. Let's click on next. And here you would pick your destination file. So if you want to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No,
I had a question regarding, because this is a great place to answer that question.
This?
Yeah. So John asked the question where it says, if I have an external hard drive that I want to use with a USB connector attached to the NAS, could I use HybridMount to add that to the storage to back up your NAS? So you don't think this is a perfect place. So you don't need to use HybridMount because HybridMount just used for connecting a cloud to the QNAP. But if you have an external drive and you want to use your QNAP to back up to that external drive, you can just click on local NAS and then at that point select, and then the external drive will show up here.
Right.
And then just select that external hard drive, and then you can now back up to that external your public folder to that external hard drive.
Right.
So you don't need to connect or use HybridMount. Just use this. Just use local NAS and just select external hard drive.
So if you had it connected, if you had your external drive connected, it would pop up here on the bottom. It would pop up just like a folder. You would click on that, and that would be your destination folder.
Exactly. Go back.
All right. So yeah, if you want to back up a folder within your NAS, and you want to back up to external drive, you would go to local NAS. If you have a remote NAS, it gives you that option as well. So for the sake of the demo, we're going to also your cloud services as well. This gives you all your different cloud options. Let's back up to Google Drive. All right. And you would click your cloud account, you click allow. So here you can rename, you can name your job. You have your capacity. If you want to use a proxy server here, you can do so as well. So we're just create. And there we go. Let's see, we have our destination file there. Click on select.
And this is with the destination folder that you will be connecting to, or that's where the data will be going to.
Right.
So once you select that.
So you would click, yeah, where you want your data to land to. So let's just do my drive for the sake. So there you have your local folder. Here's where you're pulling your data from your NAS. And here's your destination folder on your Google Drive. You click on next, and that's pretty much it there. Should I just do it real quick? Oh, I'm sorry, skip. So scheduler. You can schedule your backups. You could do up to, looks like we got up to 30 back. You can set up a time. You can do how often you want, daily, weekly, periodically. Also you can set up an end date. Say, I just want to back up for the next 2 weeks, next 6 months. You can do an end date. You can create rules. Oops. Let's.
No, cancel.
Okay. So you can also.
No, you have to do no schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's just do no schedule here. You can also do rules if you want to enable. If you want to create filters, say you want to just back up your files, you don't want to back up larger files like multimedia files, your pictures, or your photos, or vice versa. You can include or exclude those files here. You can exclude by file size. You can exclude by here's file type. You can also exclude more generally if you want to exclude by documents or so on, and you can also include them as well. You can use data compression as well if you want to back up faster. You can compress your data, and also you can use dedupe. We'll get into that in just a minute here. And oops. We'll get rid of compression. And it gives you your summary here. And you would just create, and it would do the backup there. We don't want to create it, do we?
No. Right. We already have a job.
We have a job pending. So same thing for synchronization here. If you want to do a same process, you would just, this is for backup. Here's your sync. So we're going to create, we'll just do a one-way sync. pretty much the same process. You can sync from your local NAS, or if you want to, let's do that. Or if you want to sync from your cloud account, you can do that. So you can do to and from. So you add your folder. We'll just do public, and you add your destination folder. Oops. And our repair folder. Oh, because I chose one of these things. So we're syncing here from the NAS. We're syncing to. Where are they going? NAS to NAS?
No, you select the local NAS, so cancel.
Oh.
So you're gonna select cloud. And
I'm sorry. Skipping step. Sorry, I'm not caffeinated enough.
Not sort of.
It's not
Oh, no, close it. One-way sync job.
Yeah.
So the difference between the options of one-way, two-way, and active sync job is one-way sync job syncs data that is stored on the NAS onto the cloud. So it just keeps syncing data to the cloud. Two-way sync job is where it allows you to sync both folders. So if you have a folder on the NAS and a folder on the cloud, it's going to allow you to sync together. And well, if you upload anything on the NAS, it'll automatically sync that data to the cloud. And if you upload directly to the cloud, it automatically syncs back to the NAS. So two-way sync allows you to sync two folders that are on different locations together. An active sync job is where you want to grab data that is stored on the cloud to the NAS. So it's going to just grab data that is stored on the cloud to the NAS. Okay, so that's a major difference between the three different options on the QNAP.
Okay. And just like a backup, you set your schedule, you can set your rules, and pretty much just follow the steps, and you can do a sync as well. So let's just do no schedule, sync now. Here, if we want to enable our filters or use data decompression, you do that. We'll just skip that. And we'll just do a quick sync. We'll just folder to folder. Oops.
Now, just create two multiple sync jobs there. Close it. And
then you'll see syncing right here. So you'll see all your sync jobs pop up on your interface here. That's pretty much it.
Now, so the sync will be a file-based sync. So you have a file-based sync. So if you have a question from John, it's a block of file. It's a file-based sync that you do on the QNAP itself, and then the backup jobs are all block-based backup jobs. Now, there are a few things I would like to show you with HybridMount. Actually, HybridMount is a great application if you want to use it for multi-cloud backup. So HybridMount allows you, as you can see, the HybridMount is doesn't stop at just one backup job. You can actually create multiple backup jobs or multiple sync jobs that you can actually connect it to different locations. So if you have a, if you want to use hybrid backup sync to, let me share my screen quickly. I think it was which NAS. All right, so yeah, HybridMount allows you to create multiple backup jobs. So you can actually create so you can actually have a true multi-cloud backup solution. For example, so best example I can give you here is I have a backup job that's going to S3 Glacier. So this backup job is going through an S3 Glacier account. Now, if you know about Amazon AWS, you have AWS S3 bucket, which is which you use for frequently accessing data. So you use that data all the data you frequently access, you store that data onto S3 because it costs a little bit higher, but you can access the data frequently. There's no penalty to frequently access the data because That is what it's meant for. You can frequently access data. There's no limit on how many times you can access the data. So your frequently data that you do want to access, you want to back up that data, or you want to sync that data onto my cloud. So that is why I have a sync job that is going through my S3. For I frequently access my multimedia data that I actually frequently access for all my video files, my folders, my music, my videos, all my documents, all my users documents, all my Qsync documents, all the data that I know that I'm going to frequently accessing it, or my users may frequently access it. I want to create an S3 bucket for that, and I'm going to use Hybrid Backup Sync to do that, to do a sync job to the S3 bucket, right? So that is because S3 again charges a little bit more, but you can frequently access the data. Now I have another job now and I also have data that I archive that I don't need to access that frequently. I only need it in case if there's a disaster that happened, or if I accidentally deleted the data, or if there's a corruption for that data. That doesn't happen that often. How many times does your data get corrupted, right? Once in a year, or maybe not even that. I haven't had a corruption yet. As of yet, I didn't accidentally delete the data. So exactly. So those archive data, you want to create an S3 Glacier, right? The S3 Glacier bucket is actually cheaper for per gigabyte for using per gigabyte space, right? Those data, but you do get penalty if you frequently access the data or frequently download the data. Downloading also takes a while. They give you a time slot to download the data. It's not immediate downloading, but it's great for archive data, right? So I have my VM that I run, a lot of VMs that I run on my computer, right? And I store that VM on, and my QNAP is my data store for my VMware Hyper-V, right? So, but that data is not frequently accessed, right? I want my VM backups are just for backups. They're not frequently accessed. I just want to make sure that there is another location for my 3-2-1 backup strategy. I want to make sure there's a third copy of that data onto the cloud. So that is the reason I have a Glacier account. There's a Glacier bucket for cheaper cost that I just use it for backup. So if I do a backup here, and that is the reason you can do a backup job. So you can actually have 2 simultaneous jobs going through Amazon AWS, one for Glacier and one for S3. So that Hybrid Backup Sync allows you to achieve that, right? To have multi-cloud backup solution that doesn't limit you to have only one backup job to going through. You can actually create multiple backup jobs as well. Let's say you're going to back up to Google Cloud, or you want to get back up to another cloud service provider. You can actually create multiple backup jobs as well, and then those will allow you to back up to multiple clouds as well. And I have scheduled it daily. I can also schedule it weekly, monthly. Those are the schedule options. You can also do versionings as well. So with backup jobs, so if I create a new backup job right here, and I select a folder, it's a multimedia folder, and put it on my S3 Amazon Glacier, and I just I think I have a region, I have a bucket in one of the regions right here. Yeah, I can create a new bucket directly from here as well. Then I select that, and I select the destination folder that is a cloud bucket, and this folder will go to that particular location. Now with schedule, again, I can set up a schedule. I can also do run after job. What this allows you to do is, in case you have multiple backup jobs that are running, HBS3 is smart enough to give you this particular option. This is a newer option where, in case if you have a backup job that is running to one of the cloud, and you have another backup job that you also want to do that backup to, in case of guessing what time the first backup job will finish, and you don't want to run simultaneous, right? Because of bandwidth, you can just ask the QNAP to run the second job after the first job is finished. So I can say after my S3, after my VM backup jobs are finished, run this particular job. So I can have that as well.
So less saturation and bog down.
Exactly. So having multiple backup jobs running to S3, I can just have one at a time run. I can also do versioning as well. With backup jobs, this is not available sync, but this is available backup as well. We can do multiple versions. You can do simple versioning where you can ask the QNAP to retain last 100 versions or have last 100 days. You can also do smart versioning where you can actually have granular control of versions. You can say I have keep my one version per hour. They have 8 versions per week, 7 versions per day, 7 versions per day, and then 10 versions per month. So you can actually have multiple versions per day, per month. So you can have multiple restore points to go back to. So you can have versioning as well. Under rules, you can under methods, you have the option to have filters. As Eric was mentioning, you can say just back up my Google Drive, my documents, no photos, no videos. You can actually have advanced filtering as well, based off size, based off modification date. So you have, again, granular control over that as well. And then you can also do hidden files and folder, and you can do compression as well. So if you have a lot of raw files that you want to back up to, because raw files are bigger files, you can actually have QNAP compress those files and then upload that files directly onto the QNAP. And you can also set file limits, so files below 4 kilobytes won't be compressed, because those are smaller files, so you don't want to compress those files. They'll just be uploaded. You can also have compression ratio as well on the QNAP as well. And then QU dedupe. I think I have a question here. But what is exactly QU dedupe? Okay, so yeah, QU dedupe is an option. QU dedupe is a great feature that QNAP introduced. This option allows you to do specifically. This option is great for users who have a lot of duplicate files. I would say users who are using it for virtualization. Those users have a great benefit using QU dedupe. What this allows you to do is QNAP will look at your data, will look at all the duplicates files, and will consolidate all the duplicate files, and only copy the original data to the cloud. Okay, it's not going to copy the duplicated data. It's only going to copy the original data to the cloud. It's not going to copy it's going to keep your duplicated data on the NAS itself. So then on the NAS folder, there's no difference. But when you see on the cloud, it's only the original data. So
you're not having all these different versions. You're just going to have the original version.
Exactly. So, and also so QNAP's deduplication is source size deduplication. So when I say source size deduplication, it looks at the data before it's going to start the backup job. It's going to deduplicate the data before, and then it's going to only copy. It's going to start the job after it knows what your data size is, and then it's going to copy that data into the cloud. There's a question again by Keith, is the file level it's a block level deduplication. So again, it's a block level deduplication that's done on the QNAP. So before, again, I'm going to keep you guys at deduplication, but I want to quickly go through policies as well. Policies, there's an option in policies where you can actually do client-side encryption. So you can actually set a password for your data. So when you enter the password, when the QNAP does the backup job, it's actually encrypted. So if somebody gets access to the cloud account, let's say they guess your username and password, and they get access to the cloud account directly, they won't be able to access the data unless they have the encryption password. Okay, so they need to have an encrypted password to access the data. Only then and then they can access the data.
Just remember your password though. If there's any issues where you do encrypt your files and you don't have your password,
there's no backdoor. These are all AES-256 bits, so there's no backdoor way. There's no way to access the data. If you lose a password, you lose access to the data. But again, it's encrypted data. So again, no one can access the data unless they have the password. Another great feature that QNAP introduced called rate limits. This allows you to have QNAP control your bandwidth when it's doing a backup job. So you can ask the QNAP to use only certain amount of bandwidth and also during certain times and certain days. Again, a very granular control. Not a lot of companies do that, but again, a very granular control over your rate limits. So I can ask the QNAP to just use maybe 500 kilobits per second, or that's too low for today's date. Everyone has 1,000 gigabit network now, or maybe whatever the speeds would be. Let's say 100 megabytes per second. So I can ask, oh no, that's too much. Let's say 10 megabytes per second. It's way too much. So I can ask the QNAP to just use 10 megabytes per second during my, if it's a work day, just from 9 to 6 in the morning, just use 10 megabytes per second, Monday to Friday. After that time has expired, after 6 o'clock, it's going to use maximum bandwidth available. to do faster backups as well. And I can also do per week as well. On Saturday, Sundays, it's just used because nobody's in the office. I can just have the QNAP just back up at maximum speed, no issues. So you can do faster backups. Again, very granular control over your speeds, over your bandwidth, specific, and especially if you have a lot of backup jobs to going together. You can actually have one backup job use 1 megabytes per second. You can have another backup job use rate limits using 1 megabytes per second. Third, sync job. You can also do it for sync job as well. So sync job can do 1 megabytes per second as well.
So you can customize it per job.
Exactly. So you can do that as well with QNAP, and QNAP does allow you to do that as well. TCP/BBR is again protocol that Google established. We also do that as well. This allows you to have when you're doing offsite backups, internet backups, it's gonna keep bandwidth at a stable speed and won't give you a lot of dropouts. And if you do use QUWAN, so if you have an SD WAN using QUWAN, QNAP's QUWAN solution, and you have two NASs that are on the same SD WAN, you doing a backup from one NAS to the other, QNAP can allow you to, it's going to select the best path available to go to the second NAS. And you can also do preserve ACLs. You can do other options as well. Delete sparse files. If you have a lot of sparse files, it'll delete that. It'll detect that and it won't upload that as well. It's only going to upload null data as well. Delete source file after transmission. So it's going to delete. So it's going to delete your main files if once the job is finished. So don't select that if you don't want to do that as well. Snapshot is just something that QNAP support may allow you to do that. So if you have a lot of applications that are running, you want to make sure it does take a snapshot so your backup jobs don't fail because the files are open. So it's going to take a snapshot before it's going to copy that data. Options, this is again for QNAP support. They may ask you to change some options for error detection as well. There are a lot of questions coming in. I'll answer them in a few minutes. I want to make sure I go through this before. Yeah, but all right, so going back to QUDedupe, as I mentioned, I want to make sure I give you some example of QUDedupe. So I have a lot of VM files on my QNAP. So that VM file, if you look at the VM file, it's just basically ISO file. Just for this example, I'm going to keep it simple. A lot of ISO files that I've stored within the QNAP, they amount to be at 98 gigabytes on my QNAP itself. So my hard drive on the QNAP is using 98 gigabytes to store all those files. Now, if I look at this particular job, it's backing up that same VM folder. So that's folder called VM. So if you look at the storage, that's folder is 98 gigabytes. It actually shows total size is 98 gigabytes. Now, if you look at the edit button, I'll ask the QNAP to use deduplication as well as compression. So I asked the QNAP to use deduplication. Now, if you look at the report, it's actually, if you look at the details, it's only transferred 41 gigabytes because all I did was I just copied and recopied. Just for this particular demo again, I just copied the same file over and over again. But it's on the disk space, it's going to actually use 98 gigabytes. But when it backs up that data, it's only going to back up 41 gigabytes because it's all duplicate data. So it's almost cut in half. And because compression is going to also do more compression, and it's going to copy the data. So see how it's almost 50% of space saving that is done on the cloud. So on the cloud, it's only using 41 gigabytes. So if you're paying per gigabyte on Amazon Glacier or S3, imagine the space savings you're going to get when you use QUDedupe, right? It's going to only back up it's only going to use 41 gigabytes instead of using 98 gigabytes. So imagine another backup service that doesn't have a deduplication. You actually copy 98 gigabytes of data worth of data because exactly it's going to pile up. It's going to cost you that to save that 98 gigabytes. But QUDedupe, it's only going to cost you just to store that 41 gigabytes because again, it's all duplicated data. So that's another great feature. And again, this is a great example. When it did the initial backup job, it actually didn't copy the 98 gigabyte. It actually compressed the data first, or deduplicated and compressed the data first before starting the backup job, and then it only copied 41 gigabyte. So another great advantage of having that is when it's transferring the data, it's only going to use 41 gigabytes worth of bandwidth. instead of using 98 gigabytes worth of bandwidth. It's almost using half your bandwidth to copy the data. So it's faster backup jobs, less space. Okay, great features. Well, again, the users who have great advantage is hypervisor users, VM backup jobs, the virtualization applications, users for compression. There's a lot of video editors, raw file users. Those are the applications that can take great advantage of having deduplication and compression. So it also tells you the data reduction. So it's almost 2 times the data reduction, more than two times the data reduction that I was able to do on this particular backup job. So again, that's a great feature that QNAP provides you to have that as well. So let's go back to the questions just in case. So again, John asked the question: Is the sync file block or block-based or file-based? Sync is file-based, but backup jobs are block-based. Jonathan, hopefully this demo was able to answer that. What is QEDupe? Why do you use QEDupe? Just simple. QEDupe is basically available to if you have a lot of duplicate folders, just cuts in half and just copies the original data.
Yes, this stuff will be made available after. We'll send a follow-up with everything we've covered.
Yes, hopefully we may have this available on a YouTube page for further download and further also looking in the future as well. Does QEDupe duplicate at file level or block levels? Again, it's a block level deduplication that it does. And last question before we move on, it's any speed advantage to use QEDupe if I don't have SSD drives? So if you're not sure, but QEDupe is recommended to have SSD drives because when it does the initial backup job, it does, because it looks at your data, it needs to do a lot of parsing, a lot of looking at your data. That requires that we recommend having SSD drives for that because it can do quicker compression, quicker deduplication, because it has to deduplicate right before it sends out data. For that, it's recommended to have SSD drives. It's not a requirement, but yes, there is a speed advantage if you do use SSD drives when you use QEDupe. So to keep it simple, if you have SSD drives, yes, QEDupe is it will take advantage of that. It's not a requirement though. So because we did cover a lot of things. I'm gonna just give you quick information about sync jobs. We have two-way sync job, one-way sync job, and active sync job. So going back to previously what I talked about, two-way sync job allows you basically covers when you use Google Drive, it's gonna copy. Let's say if you pair downloads folder with a folder with one of the folders within let's say Blackmagic folder. So whatever you put on the downloads folder on the QNAP, it's going to automatically upload that to your Blackmagic folder. Or whatever upload you do on the Blackmagic folder, it will automatically go back to the downloads folder.
So it's syncing both ways.
Syncing both ways. So you see, there's a both way icon right here as well. And you can also provide config policy as well. If it does see duplicate files, you're gonna rename files on the NAS. Rename files remotely as well. So you can also do overwrite as well. And then you also now we do provide real-time synchronization on most of our sync jobs. This is not available for backup jobs, but only for sync jobs. Where if you do real-time, it's just gonna be able to sync back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Usually, as soon as you upload something, it's gonna start syncing itself. So again, great feature to have when using synchronization. Okay, so hopefully that answers or that covers a little bit more about sync jobs. And we do provide multi-cloud storage services as well with CloudFuse. With CloudFuse, again, the third-party application that we do integrate with CloudFuse allows you to do is CloudFuse allows you to, let's say if you have data that is stored on one of the cloud services, let's say S3, and you want to move that data to, let's say, Google Cloud. CloudFuse allows you to, I think there's a website issue right here. I think there's some web internet issues. Hopefully that comes up. But what it does is that just will allow you to move that data over to from your S3 to Google Drive. So Cloud Fuse, without having to use your NAS, so it's just going to copy directly to the Google Drive, directly from S3 to Google Cloud directly. So that's Cloud Fuse basically. We do support that as well. And you have to create an account with Cloud Fuse. Again, it's a third-party provider. It's not from QNAP. Just visit Cloud Fuse to get more information on that. Let's wait about a minute or more before we move to the last subject, which is laptop, which is QUTS Cloud. So guys, if you have any questions, just exactly feel free to open up mic or just start to just type it in your chat window. There was a question before that came out, a general question: how much of these products and applications are applicable for home consumers, or are the most for small and medium businesses? Which applications are useful, applicable for home users or home consumers? I guess a great question.
You know what? Well, like Hybrid Backup Sync, for example. Yeah. I mean, Hybrid Backup Sync, it's for anybody who needs backup. If you want to back up to your cloud, if you want to back up to your external drive, or you know, somewhere on your NAS. Hybrid Backup Sync is pretty much for any user that wants to apply a backup. HybridMount is a great way to have, if you have cloud accounts that you want to consolidate on your NAS, instead of opening up several different applications or different cloud accounts, you can mount them on your NAS and you have them all show up like as a folder. So I mean, this pretty much that's applicable across the board for any type of user.
Yeah, certain applications like virtual JBoss may be used for small businesses because they use a lot of LUNs and encrypted volumes. QUTS Cloud may also be required both like small and medium businesses, but applications like Hybrid Backup Sync, HybridMount are great applications for consumers. I personally use a lot for Hybrid Backup Sync because all of my family takes a lot of pictures in their phones. And I have QFile on all of their phones. They automatically upload directly on my QNAP, into the multimedia folder. Right. So what I have to, and I have a backup job that goes from my QNAP to the S3 Glacier just for archiving purposes. So in case of they lose any pictures, I can just go back in the Glacier. I can ask the QNAP to restore that particular file using Hybrid Backup Sync. Hybrid Backup Sync, great application that I want to make sure that I have all my backups done. Of everything that I've done and onto Glacier for archiving purposes. HybridMount, I do also use that application. HybridMount again it does. HybridMount also use that because I do have a lot of data on my Google Cloud for my work purposes. Because again they use Google Drive as the account, and I upload a lot of like spreadsheets and documents and all of presentation files, a lot of files that I upload that to Google Drive. I make sure I use, because I use a lot of QNAP, right? At my home, I make sure I have my QNAP mapped to my local computer. So instead of having, and with QNAP, let's say if you use Google Drive application, right, on the computer, Google Drive will download all that particular files onto my computer. So, and it's unnecessary space that I'm using on my computer. What I actually do at my home or even at my work is I install Hybrid Backup Sync, connect that to my Google Drive, and have the QNAP download that data that I use frequently into the QNAP NAS, into, let's say, public folder, and I actually mapped that public folder onto my computer. So when I map it, if you remember, if you know about mapping on Windows 10 or even Mac computers, it's not actually downloading the data. It's actually I'm just going to that public folder. It's just directly going to that public folder onto my QNAP NAS.
You're just using your NAS to access it.
Exactly. So all my files are stored in the QNAP NAS, not on my computer. So I'm actually saving a lot of space on my computer, but I'm still able to access it at the same speed I may be able to access on my computer, just directly from the NAS. So again, Hybrid Backup Sync, again, it's a great application for consumers as well.
Yes, is OneDrive supported? OneDrive is one of the best.
Yes, it is supported. Yes, OneDrive is supported for that.
There's about 30 different cloud service providers that are supported for Hybrid Backup Sync. You can check those out on our website. But all the basic ones: Dropbox, Google Drive, OneBox, they're all pretty much there. They're all supported.
Yeah, OneDrive is right here. We do support that as well. There's another question. What happens if you want to sync a large like PSD that changes frequently? Just 10. So if it does, so if you do real-time synchronization, it's gonna just keep syncing that data onto the cloud service. If you do on a schedule basis, it's gonna just do the changes that you do the next. So whatever changes that happen on that PSD file or whatever file that you use, on the next schedule, it's gonna upload all those changes onto that cloud. So again, it's all these jobs are all incremental. They're not done. It's not gonna back up the whole file. It's gonna do an incremental jobs. So it's gonna back up whatever changes you do on that particular file directly to the cloud.
Yes, to answer that question about what users, what application, what of these are for consumer users. Like for example, I mean, I still have for sentimental reasons, I still have all my digital music collection. I know we have Spotify and we have different ways to listen to music, but I mean, I still have a good, terabyte of music, and I have that backed up on an external drive. So I use hybrid backup sync from my NAS to back up to an external, and also I take a lot of photos. I sync those to my Dropbox. So I'm constantly using it. It's for consumers, for your digital like multimedia files. I mean, it's a great way to have an easy way to back up and synchronize all your stuff.
And the last point to that is everyone should. It doesn't matter home users or small businesses or large businesses. Everyone should have a follow 3-to-1 backup strategy, right? You have 3 copies of your data to 2 different medium and 1 offsite. So 3 copies of your data would be one. Your main data would be where, let's say, for example, NAS. So NAS as your first copy. The second copy could be an external hard drive so hybrid backup sync can actually create a backup job that backs up to an external hard drive. So it's the second medium. And the third is offsite. So again, hybrid backup sync can create another job that can also back up the data to the offsite. So in case if there's any disaster, you still have backup. You have at least one of the copies saved, right? You have offsite copy that is safe, or it could be an external hard drive that's safe. So again, it's a great feature. Hybrid backups can easily allow to achieve 3-to-1 backup strategy with QNAP. So again, we always recommend that strategy for every user. It doesn't matter home users or small business or medium business or large business. Everyone should follow that feature.
Hey, John, to answer your question, you meant you saw OneDrive for business, and if you click,
it's actually it says OneDrive.
Yeah, it's slash. It's either or. So it's OneDrive and OneDrive for business. So it supports both.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, if you have any questions, you can also, if you have anything you wanna chat with us, you can also unmute to ask your question or chat away.
All right, so let's move on. We have another Q&A coming up after as well. So again, if there's any questions, just keep putting them in the chat and keep answering them as well. The next last topic for the day would be QUTS Cloud. QUTS Cloud is again QNAP's new operating system that is based off public cloud. So you can actually set up, you don't need a physical NAS to actually now use QNAP device or QNAP services. You can actually just spin up a QETS or QTS operating system. If you know about QNAP, we name our application or our operating system as QUTS Hero, QUTS Cloud, or sorry, QUTS Hero, and then QES. So QUTS is now available on cloud platforms as well. You can spin up a QUTS cloud on any public cloud service providers, and you're gonna get experience of a local NAS, but just on just basic cloud NAS services. We support a lot of block-based storage cloud service providers like Amazon, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, OVH is a new cloud service provider, and we keep adding more and more. So just choose with the best cloud service provider, the best pricing that you want, and then you can start using QUTS Cloud. The benefit of having QUTS Cloud is quick installation. So you can just set up your cloud account, just enter how many cores you need, how many RAM you need, hard drives, and start installation. QUTS installation can be done within 5 minutes. No need for any complex installation. Just answer basic questions, and your operating system is ready to go. And again, it's pay as you go, pay as you go, and also scalability as well. Pay as you go basically is just used per month or per year licenses that we provide for QTS Cloud. So use only for days or months that you could require, and then once you don't require any of the operating system, you can just discontinue the license. Basically, as simple as that. And scalability is in case because there's no physical device required. Let's say if you require more processing power, more RAM, just shut down the QTS Cloud, add more RAM, add more cores, and turn it on. And now you have, let's say you start with 2 cores and you said, oh, I need more cores. You can shut down the NAS, add 2 more cores, maybe double the RAM, and turn it on. And now you have 4-core, 16 gig QTS Cloud NAS. So basically, it's just very simple as that. It's optimized for cloud data. So if you already have data that's saved on the cloud, you can use Hybrid Backup Sync or Virtual JBoss to connect that to your QTS Cloud. So everything is happening on the cloud. Nothing is downloaded physically on any of the devices or locally. So basically it's best used for cloud data itself. So you can actually it's optimized for cloud data as well, and very simple to manage. So if you have used a QNAP device, it's very simple to use. Everything is very laid out perfectly fine. It's all clicked. Again, it's very large icons, very easy to use. Not too complicated setups. Everything is very simple to use. So easy setup, easy easy guided process that you want to use as well. So again, if you have, again, as I mentioned before, if you have data that's already stored on the cloud, you can QTS Cloud is a great operating system to take advantage of that data that's stored. You can just connect these cloud service providers directly to the cloud NAS and then start using that as well. And again, you can access it your QTS Cloud via your phone using QFile. You can access it via the browser on your computer, or you can access it via Samba protocol as well if you wanted to AFP Samba as well, iSCSI as well if you needed to as well. You can create VPN services going from your office to the QTS Cloud, so you have a secure VPN connection between those. And then again, you can create cloud drives directly to the users as well. So the last option, the best example I can give you is Qsync. So if you know about Qsync is a Dropbox-like application that QNAP provides. So right here I have a Qsync application that is installed, and there's a folder on my computer. This folder, anything I put inside that folder automatically gets synced to the QNAP. So this is a great feature that we provide for our QNAP users. Again, it's a free of cost application that we provide to QNAP NAS users, or if you have a QTS license, cloud license, you can just use that application as well. And once the data is, when anything you copy that data in that folder automatically gets synced in the QNAP. So again, like Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive. If you have used any of these 3 applications, it's the same exact application, but instead of paying per month for those applications, you can just use free of cost on the QNAP if you have a NAS, or you can just use with QNAP NAS. So if you have a lot of users actually use that you want to give them this kind of experience, you can create a QNAP QTS Cloud on the NAS, and then just give them and create a large hard drive, and then just give them username and password for QNAP Qsync, and they can all use Qsync, and then transfer, and the data that they put within the Qsync all comes to the QNAP Cloud. And because it's cloud, you're not limited to bandwidth, right? Because everything is happening on the cloud, and cloud bandwidths are pretty high compared to a physical NAS on your location. Your upload speeds at your location might be quite low, and especially when users are far away. Let's say if you have a sales users that are actually on a different continent or different country or different city that are not. And so if you have a physical NAS at the location, that could be pretty slow for them to upload it down. But with cloud, everything is happening on the cloud, and they all have data centers available at different locations. They're all at least within not too far from the closest cloud infrastructure. So again, a great way to provide them as well. Again, we can use HybridMount or Virtual JBoss to connect to your cloud. Again, consolidate all these cloud service providers. So and then we do have cloud. Again, as I mentioned, it's only 5 steps. You just download the image file that we have right here, upload that image file to your to cloud service provider like DigitalOcean, Azure, or Google Cloud, launch the platform, and then just purchase the license and just enter the license key, and that is it. That's how easy it is to start with QUTS Cloud. And we do have all these premium apps that you can actually use with QUTS Cloud to enhance your experience. So I have a QUTS Cloud instance running on my right here that I've connected right here. And if you look at the application, it's actually not that different than your NAS. So it's actually very easy to use service. If you're actually familiar with QNAP, there's no learning curve right here. Everything is exactly the same as what you're used to. You have the only difference is you have the license status available right here. So you have the license available. That's a major difference I can see right here. Everything else remains the same. You can see the control panel as well, exactly the same. There's no difference right here as well. The storage and snapshot, you just create your storage itself. That you create, we provide you up to 24 hard drive space. That basically just different hard drives you create on the cloud. Just connect them right here. App Center remains the same as well. The only difference here is not all applications are available for cloud. Only cloud-centric applications are mostly available. So all applications, there'll be limited amount of applications that you can install for QUTS Cloud. Applications like virtualization station, container station, those applications won't be available because you're actually running. There's already a virtual application, so running another virtual application on top of that doesn't make sense. So actually, you do have container station if you like to. If you want to run Dockers of containers in cloud, you can actually run that, but there's no virtualization station. We now have Plex as well, now available as an application. But again, there are a lot of applications that can actually use with QNAP NAS. All right, so there are a few examples I can give you that actually is a great use cases for QUTS Cloud. Basically, it's for disaster recovery. So if you have a QNAP NAS that you actually use, a physical NAS, a QUTS Cloud can be a great complementary service that you can actually use for backup purposes. So right here, I think I have a NAS that is actually doing, let's see, Finder. Okay, so I have a NAS that it's a physical NAS in my office that I actually use a lot. And I want to make sure I have snapshot protection for ransomware, for any kind of accidental deletion or corruption. And I can actually use QUTS Cloud. I can take snapshots right here. So I have actually 17 snapshots with versioning. So I have different versioning of each of the snapshot. But this is on my local NAS. What I can actually do is I can do a snapshot replication, and I can do a snapshot replication onto the QUTS Cloud NAS. So I have a NAS right here that is doing a snapshot replication. So if I look at my QUTS Cloud right here, and if I open up my storage and snapshot, under storage/snapshot, you will see my snapshots that I've copied from my physical NAS. So my on-premise NAS is actually doing a snapshot backup to my QUTS Cloud. So in case if there's any disaster happened on my physical or on my on-premise NAS, I can just quickly open up my snapshots right here. I'm so sorry. You can click on the snapshot button right here, and I can quickly get access to my data that is stored. I can actually just go, and I can also do different versions of my, if I have multiple versions of the snapshot, I can just go back in time and restore a particular file I wanted to, or I can just clone the whole snapshot into the QUTS Cloud. So the whole volume is now available on my QUTS Cloud. So it's all going to be cloned. I can access my data directly from my, so right here, it's actually cloning that, and it's going to clone another volume right here. That will be my, that was my on-premise NAS. Now I'm able to access on my QUTS Cloud. So I can quickly get access to my data that is stored within the QNAP, but just using QUTS Cloud. So in anything that happened on my on-premise device, I can quickly just use snapshot to recover my data, and I can actually quickly get access to my data without having to get another NAS immediately. Quickly just open up QUTS Cloud, download all the required data I needed to. So that's another great application. Another great application that I can think about is, let's say for example, if you're using an on-premise NAS and you have uploaded a lot of data, like I do, to Amazon Glacier or Amazon S3, and something happened on my on-premise device, right? and I want to immediately get access to my data. For snapshot replication, you need to have a QTS Cloud always on because it's going to do snapshot replication, right? If you lose on-premise device, and if you haven't done any snapshot replication, this feature is not going to be available because there's no snapshot done before. So for snapshot replication, you always have to have a QTS Cloud on and available for snapshot to work. But with hybrid cloud solution, if I have data that is uploaded on my cloud account, let's say if I have a lot of data uploaded to my S3 account, what I can actually do is see, for example, let me give you an example right here. I have a lot of S3 uploads sync job that's going through my all my multimedia documents or data that is all my stored in my multimedia folder. I've been doing this sync job for the last few days onto my S3 account. Let's say my on-premise NAS has gone down for some reason, and it will take some time for that to come back online. But I really want to get access to a few of the files that is stored within that S3 account. What I can actually do is, and this could be after the fact. You don't have to have a license before. This could be after the fact. I can quickly purchase a QTS license, open up S3 account, start up my S3, start up and I think Amazon, it's called ES or EC instance of QTS Cloud, and then I can just start using that as well. I can just add an additional, just start using that, and I can install HybridMount and connect an S3 that I was actually using already as a file cloud gateway. Once you have done that, I can just open a file station, and I can open this is cloud itself. I can once I've added that, I can quickly get access to all my documents that I've already uploaded onto my S3 account. Again, this is all done after the fact. Nothing was done. The QTS Cloud was not available when I initially set up my on-premise device. On-premise device was already uploading for the last few months automatically. Just something happened on my on-premise device. I really needed access to my cloud data, and I can just quickly get access to the cloud data. Just setting up I just purchased a license, set up a very quick QTS Cloud account, and just connected via HybridMount, and I now have access to all my data that is stored. I can quickly download that data onto my NAS as well if I needed to. Another great application for QTS Cloud is if you have a lot of data that is already stored in S3, and now if you, as I mentioned before, like in the start of the web workshop, to give access to S3 data to your users, it's going to be pretty hard. You have to create an S3 users, you give them access accounts. No, there's no S3 application, right? There's no like Google Drive application or Amazon Drive application for S3. So to get access to the data, they have to actually access the bucket and then manually download the data to get access to the data. So imagine the difficulty for users who are not computer savvy. That it's going to be really hard for them to get access to the S3 account. With QTS Cloud, you have a very simple way to access your S3 data for your users. So with this example, I can just again set up an QTS Cloud on S3, connect the S3 using HybridMount, and then just create users on my NAS for my users. I can create a users for my users, and I create a new user for my family or for my users. And then once I've created users, I can just give them access. I can just give them the IP address to my QTS Cloud, and they can just open up this web browser, access the file station, and download and upload anything they wanted to. They can also use their phone using QFile, upload and download anything they wanted to, without having to log into S3 at all. They're not logging to S3, just log into QNAP. But again, a very simple way to get access to your cloud data using QNAP QTS Cloud. So yeah, that is it for today's demo. I think we have a few questions.
For data uploaded to various cloud services. A question from John. Various cloud services, can they, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, view your data?
Yes. So okay, so for sync jobs, they can get access to the data because it's just one-to-one sync. So sync job is, let's say you have a music file, or a movie file, and you uploaded that using sync. It's just going to be a regular movie file on the Google Cloud as well. So it's not encrypted. There's no change format. So they can get access to that data because it's not a different format. But for backup jobs, the QNAP does when it does a backup job, it actually changes the file format. It's a proprietary file format. So you need to do a restore job on the QNAP to get access to the data. So that's another great way to protect yourself from let's say if somebody gets your cloud account password, they can just get access to the data. But when you have a backup job, they need a QNAP NAS to restore the job, right? So and also you can do an additional protection. You can also do encryption. So when you do encryption, they need a password. Other than QNAP NAS, they also need a password to get access to the data. So you can have multi-layer protection in case if somebody guesses your cloud account password. So that's another great way to protect yourself. Are there any demo licenses or trial period? As of yet, unfortunately there's no demo licenses available. I can take this as a feature request. I can let management know, see if they can, in the future they want to provide a demo license for QGS Cloud. But now, unfortunately, it's not available.
What is Malware Remover? So Malware Remover is an actual app that it's part of the Security Advisor umbrella, but it's an individual app. But if you download Security Advisor, it's kind of included in that. There's a virus remover, there's a malware remover, and but malware remover, it basically you want to make sure you have the most current version when you have your most current version of firmware. You want to make sure all your apps are up to date. Malware remover is pretty extensive. It runs through all of the, I guess, the recent anything recent of malware that's out there.
Yeah. So if the QNAP is, let's say, if the QNAP QNAP detects a malware that was tried to use for hacking or get access to your NAS, QNAP creates a database of that malware, and it's just a virus protection database, right? It's gonna use that database to remove that. If your NAS was attacked or was tried to be attacked, the QNAP malware remover will remove that vulnerability from your QNAP NAS. So it's an automatic feature that QNAP is already installed on your NAS. Now it's part of the firmware. Before it was an application, but now part of the firmware. We just provide you app updates using App Center. Make sure you just update the application and let it run all the scan periodically. And it's extensively, it does do all the scans for all your files as well as on the operating system level as well. So it's gonna protect you at the operating system level as well. So that's another great. That's malware remover basically. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys, this is a great time to ask questions. If not, then that is today's workshop. We're gonna wait for 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
So yes or no? Okay, so malware remover, in case we do have a ransomware attack that QNAP was made aware of, we will update the malware remover. Usually when there's a ransomware attack that happens, there's a file that gets uploaded onto the QNAP automatically, but that file is not activated for a long period of time. What malware remover will do is malware removal, once we get notified about this attack, we will update that to detect those files on your QNAP. And once you update the malware remover with that new database, the malware remover will look at your files and see, oh, there's a file that was that's not recognized by QNAP, and it will remove that file. Most likely it could be ransomware that's just not been activated. So yes, it can protect you, but in case if you're unfortunately, if you haven't updated your NAS for a while, your firmware is pretty old, and you do get attacked because of an old vulnerability that we did fix, but unfortunately you didn't get the time to update the firmware, then malware remover can't protect you after the fact. So if that file was activated, you just didn't update malware remover or update the firmware, it won't remove the attack. Basically, if it was attacked already happened, it can't recover from that. But it's preemptive basically. Perfect. Great question. Multimedia console is just consolidation of all the applications that we provide, like QU Maggie, Photo Station, Music Station, all these. It's a consolidation of all the application in one single application called multimedia services, and it will create indexing. It can do indexing for you. It can create thumbnails for you, and then you can also let them. You can also do content management. You can actually ask Video Station to access certain folders, QU Maggie to access certain folders, thumbnail generation, transcoding. If you have a NAS that does no hardware transcoding, it can also show up here as well. And you can also make sure you can install. You can also see what applications or what multimedia applications installed. You can do custom permissions, so who can access that. Who can access that application. And AI engines, basically, if your AI engines are like facial recognition, object recognition, this is for QU objects or QU Maggie. So making sure everything is running properly. So just again, a quick overview of all your multimedia applications. Basically, that's what multimedia console is.
Any other questions? You can also unmute yourself or ask a question on the chat. Don't have any further question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. All right, so if we don't have any further questions, we're going to conclude our Q&A. We'll conclude our workshop for today. Thank you for joining us. We know that was a long one, but we hope there was some good information for you and some useful stuff for you. And again, please keep an eye out for our upcoming workshops. We're going to be having one every month. And you can check on our website for our workshop calendar. If you have any future questions, you can email us at usasales@qnap.com. I'll add that to the chat here. But yeah, if you have any questions from that you can't think of today, but you have any product questions, we have our sales and marketing stuff on everybody in this loop. So if you have any questions, we'll all get it. And
can you also post a link for workshop on the main page?
Let's do that. So I'll also add our calendar here for workshops. Yeah, my mouse is acting a little funky. All right, for everybody, here's a link for workshop. And I'm sorry, Carrie, I just emailed it. I just chatted that with you. Here is for everyone. Any questions that you have that you want to ask in the near future of any products or any features, you can also email us. And I think that'll do it for today. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Deval. That was a great one. And we'll hope to see you on our next workshop coming soon. Till then, take care.